Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Julie Wright, and Benedictus Publishing is my new publishing house, established in December 2020 and focusing on publishing works of poetry and other poetry-related texts. Welcome to my series of poetry readings from my collection, Infinite Connections, which I launched in March this year. Today's poem is called Grandfather Gum and was written in honour of a stunning gum tree in my street in my home city of Adelaide in South Australia. I am fortunate enough to live in Warradale, which has retained many of its grand old gums and their feathered friends, who brighten our mornings and evenings with an extraordinary symphony of sounds. It is like having the joy of your own private orchestra to accompany your daily routine, beginning with the tune-up in the mornings and ending with an evening encore. I'll read through the whole poem, then break it down into individual verses, commenting on the poetic devices and the way they contribute to the purpose of the poem and the messages being conveyed. So, here is Grandfather Gum. Grandfather Gum, although you tower over me like the Cyclops towered over mere mortals, your arms are open wide to embrace me, and the light reaches through your outstretched arms and caresses my cheeks. Grandfather Gum, as you pipe me down the street with birdsong, I marvel at all you have seen, standing guard like God himself at the gate of that street that has been my personal paradise. I long for you to live forever, to conduct the evening chorus for generations to come. I salute you, Grandfather Gum, your unassuming resilience, your unbroken contract with the harsh summer sun, and your gentle understanding with the wind, as you whisper vows of eternal love to each of us as we pass by. Grandfather Gum, I love everything you have ever been and will ever be to me. You keep watch over my goings out and my comings in, and every breath you take is life to me. It is your silent, unspoken love for me that will never fail, because your life has been given for mine, and I thank you. All I have is this poem to honour you, and my love to offer you in return, my dear Grandfather Gum. The first thing you notice is the alliteration in the title, drawing your attention to the personification of the gum, giving it the wisdom, age, and stature of a grandfather, and flagging the speaker's respect for nature. You will notice that the speaker, in this case the poet, me, repeatedly addresses the tree as Grandfather Gum, reinforcing the idea of the tree as a living being. Anaphora and stylistic repetition have been used to underline this. The allusion to the giant Cyclops in the first verse is a reference to the immense size and longevity of the gum, and implies that perhaps human beings need to revisit their sense of superiority to other living things. The curious feature of the giant eye of the Cyclops also captures the idea of the tree watching over the street, which is taken further through the comparison with God and his watchful eye. In short, the allusion conveys the idea that the gum has a grandeur of mythological proportions. All the imagery captured in the personification is positive and conveys the protective nature of the gum and its largesse towards us, both physically and relationally. These characteristics are reinforced at the end of the poem, where the speaker makes the point that human beings depend on trees to ensure their own continuity on this planet, in the lines, "You keep watch over my goings out and my comings in, and every breath you take is life to me." In stanza 2, the simile comparing the old gum to God himself as a guardian of the street furthers this elevation of the gum tree as something to respect, something that deserves our awe, and something we expect to be a part of our lives going forward. This awe and respect is captured in the language and parallelism of phrases throughout the poem, such as, I marvel at you. I salute you. I love everything you have ever been. I thank you. Stanza 3 further develops the personification of the ancient gum through emphasizing resilience, the making of contracts, and the idea of the gum having understandings and whispering vows of eternal love, all of which build on the idea of the gum as much more than an object in the landscape. This continues in the next stanza, but here the poet goes even further than mere personification with an allusion to Psalm 139. The parallelism or stylistic repetition of the phrases "my goings out" and "my comings in" draws attention to the idea of the gum as a metaphor for God's constancy, care, and protection, with the remainder of the verse building on that allusion through the idea of God the Son giving his life for us, just as trees are part of the life-giving ecosystem that we depend upon, as I mentioned earlier. You've probably noticed that the poem focuses on 4 major ideas in the 4 stanzas, finishing with a short summarizing statement expressing the poet's admiration and gratitude, drawing a parallel to the way one feels overwhelmed by all that God has blessed us with and can only say, somewhat inadequately, a simple thank you. In other words, the final verse offers a summarizing message of the poem. The other thing you've probably noticed about the form is that it is written in free verse, ensuring that the reader focuses on the imagery and ideas about the gum, rather than being distracted by a rhyming scheme. To summarize the major thoughts explored in the poem, first and foremost, Grandfather Gum is a celebration of the beauty, resilience, and practical protection trees offer us, and asks the reader to think more about the role of trees in our lives and our survival on this planet. It places the poet and the tree in suburbia and recognizes that trees play an important part in our lives, bringing us joy and a sense of awe in response to their immense size. Grandfather Gum celebrates the way trees provide a home for dozens of birds who thrill our ears and our hearts every day with their song, and transform our humanly devised and synthetic environments into something extraordinary that fills a deep need in us to remain connected to nature, even as we systematically destroy it in pursuit of other pleasures. The poem operates on 3 levels. It reaches back to ancient Greek mythology and our long shared history of artful ingenuity. It celebrates the everyday cycle of Australian suburban life, and it links us to our Creator through the idea of eternal protective love reaching out to us and being an abiding presence in our lives. If you would like a copy of the poem with annotations, you can download one in A3 format from my website at https://benedictuspublishing.com.au. You'll also find other annotated poems and commentaries on such things as extended metaphors and other poetic devices. You can order my poetry collection, Infinite Connections, and my textbook, Celebrating the Art of Poetry, on my website. There is a glossary of poetic devices in the back of this text using examples from my book. Look out for more of these videos in the coming weeks. I hope you will join me again. My poems range over a huge variety of subjects and forms. You're sure to find some you relate to and that provide food for thought about the world we live in. Until next time, ciao for now.